tonight was a good step in the right direction in terms of getting back on track against Georgia this weekend?
In some areas, I mean, I think we're on a pretty good track on in Game 3. You always want to say Sunday, Saturday. I thought the response to having to start a game where you're not in a very good position to win it, you certainly can, and it doesn't go well, it can flip your attitude a little bit, because that was by far our best pregame of the weekend, and then within an inning and a half you lose the game. But the guys sat there in it's kind of like being on the road anywhere. You ain't got nowhere to go in the dugout, and you wait 40 minutes and you got to go play, and you're going to see the same arm and Harney. And I thought right out of the chute, obviously we scored in the first inning, but I thought the entire game our guys competed their butts off. So I think we ended last weekend as mysterious and rough and disappointing, and anything you want to label it was. We ended on a good note, and then you got 2 days separation between now and today. So to me, today's a different day. We played a different team, we played in a different park, and there was plenty of things to be positive about today, but there's also some things to be frustrated with or to correct and practice tomorrow.
It seemed like Bellarmine put up a few more hits than you sometimes see in midweek games. With those some good at-bats by them or execution issues for?
Yeah, I think it starts with a leadoff hitter. I mean, Higgins is pretty dang good. Numbers speak to it. And then you get some guys up there that you're at a point in the season where, guys are either going to take carefree swings or take their best swing or not. And their guys not only you mentioned some hits getting tallied up, but also some hard outs. Steenstra was incredible tonight defensively, but also just swings in general or takes in general. They had a good night at the plate tonight, and it's not like we didn't throw some of our better guys at them, and it's not like some of those guys also didn't throw the ball well.
What's gone wrong for Mabry his last couple outings?
To me, it's kind of, he's been a little dependent on one pitch, and the pitch has kind of become, horizontal or lateral or flat. It would maybe be a word that's described more in baseball. To me, that's as simple as it gets right there. So, and of course, anytime he pitches, anything that goes wrong is going to get highlighted because he's one of those guys that we've brought in a bunch of situations where it's rather key. And we're at a moment in the game there where, it wasn't a one-run game or, the best lefty up on the other team with the bases loaded or anything, but it was right after Kirby kind of settled the storm a little bit, threw real well, and we've got a marginal lead. So it was a hot spot to be in, and it didn't go well. So, again, it kind of gets emphasized. But to me, kind of dependent on one pitch that he's not throwing as effectively as he was before, so that's a bad combination.
Comparing it to Kentucky, what's the takeaway with what the guys were able to do at the plate tonight?
Blake Burke is one thing that stands out. Just being in the lineup is key for him. The guy's as deserving as anybody, but when he gets in there, it's frustrating, especially here. Again, speaking of everything getting emphasized, we're so close to home plate. You kind of see everything, and we've seen that guy take enough BP swings, and in games, you kind of know what it looks like when he's being himself, and you kind of know what it looks like when it's like, I want to impress everybody, or I want to get in the lineup, or I haven't been playing a lot, so I want to do really well. And I don't know the magic formula for beating those demons back, but you got to keep those things in the closet and just be who you are. And he showed, he hit the batter's eye on a night where there's really no wind. So he showed who he is in that at-bat. And you're not going to hit a home run every time, but it is pleasant to see when he kind of stays within himself. So that was one of many. I mean, you just talked to Drew Gilbert, where he was at with his swing was great. Jordan Beck, until he needed to come out of the game, was pretty good swings there. So up and down, there were some positives.
How's Jared been progressing as of late, working his way back?
It's something I wanted to go ask. Dr. Klink was in the dugout, and it was like middle of the game's not a good time. I don't know that I'm that superstitious, but it didn't seem like the best time. So he's been doing everything it's asked. It's kind of, again, instead of the 2 steps forward, 1 step back, let's just be off it entirely, or have him be off it, and then kind of go from there. So sorry I don't have a better update, but plan on getting one here before I leave the stadium.
Clinch the SEC East on Sunday. Does that carry much weight to you right now, or are you just focused on Georgia and Mississippi State?
No, I mean, I think it would be disrespectful of the other teams that have been able to do that here, or you obviously got on both sides 7 teams, competing like crazy to do that, and there's some fanfare that comes with it. Down the road, these guys will be able to hang their hat on that accomplishment instead of just saying you had this season or that season. It's nice to have, things you can earmark or point to. So that'll come in the future. But for now, and the way that it came to was kind of fitting. Is kind of like, okay, next step. It would maybe be a little different if you have a walk-off win and it's the last weekend and you do it. So kudos to the guys for being able to do something like that, in particular with the teams that are in our division. But for now, I agree with where you were leading me there. It's kind of on to the next thing, which was tonight, and that's over with. So on to practice, as well as some studying tomorrow.
After the way things went down last weekend, how important is it to kind of get rolling again in SEC play this week?
Yeah, I mean, you're at home. You want to. I mentioned to the guys in the outfield again. There's a laundry list of things that were, topics to talk about when the series was over. But you came back to the final deal. You're kind of one play away from winning the series on the road, which is it's dramatic and a big deal no matter where you do it in our league. Now, when you're at home, you kind of want to hold serve. But once the whole thing starts on game one, again, you always want to say Friday, it'll be Thursday for this week. You're just kind of wrapped up in the game. You're probably the first 2 days, if not all 3 days, going to have two big leaguers pitching. You're going to have guys, as they do with a really good closer, that are capable of coming out of the bullpen and throwing real well. So every hitter is dangerous. So while your mind wanders into different areas, kind of like you're alluding to, I would caution anyone against doing that. And it's more about prepare to play. And then, again, when the balls start flying around and everything else, you better compete in this league.
What are a couple things you've earmarked as you get ready for Georgia?
They got a lot of older hitters, not as old as me, but better than me as a hitter, and a lot of guys who have tallied up a ton of at-bats. And in our league, it's not predominantly all you see offensively, but again, the pitching is so good. A lot of times it's the stronger, more physical, more mature kids who have a lot of repetitions, and it doesn't have to be an older guy, but those traits apply to older guys a lot. They have plenty of those.
Is it going to be a battle on the mound at the plate? Where do you see that taking place?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think, we have some strong pitching and they have some strong hitting, so you could argue maybe that's the story to write about. But if you flip it, our guys have had, thunder in the bats at times or found other quirky ways to score. But they've got a veteran pitcher who will most likely go. I mean, no one's announced starters who will most likely go, and then a guy who could be a first rounder going as well. And then last week their third guy was a lefty that looks like he could play for Coach Heupel, and he's got stuff to boot. So I think you could argue both sides. It's going to be an interesting battle, and maybe defense is the difference maker. Who knows? We'll know the story when it's over.
One more for Coach.
You referenced Canning. How good is he? Where is he going to stack up with guys you've seen this year?
Well, he was really good when we saw him last year, and he was younger. I don't think I forget. I think maybe he had missed a start or something. So we didn't have quite as much information other than the hype, and it was real. And it's kind of why you sign up to be in this league, and it's one thing that makes it to cover it, to be a fan, to be in the dugout. You can't get caught being a fanboy of somebody that's wearing a different color, jersey. But it's a pretty cool deal to say you're going up against those guys. It's one of the best parts about Hoover. You can finally take your breath for a couple days, and you walk around this lobby, and again, probably wouldn't be wise for me to ask for his autograph or Bregman or whoever else Benintendi, but it's pretty fun to be around those types of guys where the big leagues, if they continue to work hard and stay humble and all those corny things, then it's almost inevitable for guys like that.
Thank you, Coach.